Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, friends and neighbors. Hi, kids. Nice to see you. Stevie Coyle here. Without the use of Valerie May today, without Valerie May's considerable skills, which is very sad. I'm so sorry. But we had a little kitty emergency last night. Our little kitty hurt its leg, and of course, Miss Valerie's got to be there to be with the kitty, and we're hoping for the best. Today is, I'm shooting from Mighty Fine Guitars for the first time in a long time. But I figure since I'm the only person that's been in here for a month, the microbes have all died away if there were any. And I'm super careful about what comes in and what goes out. Everything gets alcohol or Lysol. Whew, Lysol, stanky stuff, especially the concentrate. Wow, use it outdoors if you buy it. Whew, I'm going to tell you. Comments or questions, I'll be fielding them myself today, so today's program will be considerably more clumsy than when Miss Valerie is here to help me out fielding questions and comments and muttered threats from the assembled. Let me make sure I got a picture here. Sure enough, there we go. Hi, everybody. Hi, Marty. Hi, Mark, Ron, and two other people. Hello, two other people are watching, as well as Tina P. Jackson, John Cressett, John Mayer. Hi there, folks. Nice to see you. Shooting from the shop today. How about that? And I'm going to be featuring a couple of guitars today. A Bill Tippin, a Slothead Slope Shoulder Dreadnought, and a Laurent Brondel, kind of an OM-ish kind of thing. But first, at Arden Eaton's suggestion, Arden is fantastic, fantastic woman from the Santa Cruz area. Excuse me. Banana. And she hosts a page that she will post the name of down below here that is all about these online webcasts. So check it out. She's terrific. She said, you know what, Stevie, why don't you do a little workshop sort of thing, host a conversation about doing webcasts. So I wanted to do that because I was a lighting guy years ago in Los Angeles and a theater guy. And for a while there, I had a consulting company called ShowDoc that would help non-performers, sort of people that weren't by heart performers, perform. I did this a lot at Marine World years and years ago. Perhaps some of you Californians remember Marine World Africa, USA. Kind of helped with the shows there because a lot of the animal people there were animal people. They weren't show people. So kind of trying to buff up their presentation skills. So I look at some of the webcasts today and I think, boy, should I send that person a note? Boy, oh boy, this would be better. First thing, I'll jump right into it. And if you got any comments or questions, by all means, like I say, I'm fielding them myself today. Banana. First thing I think is make sure the orientation of the phone is correct. Some of you popped on earlier and saw that because Miss Valerie is not here to help me today, I had the orientation of the phone incorrect. Everything was completely sideways. That's the first thing you want to do. You can start on Facebook anyway, for webcasting on Facebook, you can start a webcast without it going right to air. You can fire up and kind of get your picture set up and see what looks good and all that without going to air, as it were. So you can get your picture looking good. Make sure after you fire up that you tilt your phone in the proper direction. I think it's only after you fire up the Facebook I'm Going Live, the Facebook Live app, that you can change your orientation. And you want to make sure and do that first. That's the first thing you want to do. And the second thing you want to do, I think, is probably try and steer away from the angle that's the easiest, where you have the laptop or your iPad or your phone on a desk and it's shooting up at you. I think it's safe to say that for none of us, is an up angle the very best and most flattering angle. Probably not something you want to feature is people looking up at you. In fact, that's one of the things on horror pictures, in horror movies and whatnot, that up angle of looking down at someone and them staring up at this kind of keystoned, distorted-looking face. See if you can get the camera at least eye level, perhaps even slightly above, and that's a much friendlier angle for your face and all the rest. Lighting, like I said, I was a lighting guy in Los Angeles years ago. Lighting is important because if you've got a bright light behind you, the camera, the automatic functions of the camera, are going to focus on that bright light behind you and not on your face. See if you can get yourself with the light coming in on your face and the camera seeing some kind of slightly darker thing in back of you. If you can go wild on the lighting and get real fancy about it, I would suggest I use these little boxes called Lume Cubes, LUMECUBE.com, Lume Cubes, little battery-powered lights. In fact, what the heck? I'll snag one right now and show you. Here's the one that's lighting me up from here. I've got one there, and I've got one back there. Here's Lume Cubes. I know I'm moving kind of fast here, folks, but just wanted to kind of... This is... Am I showing you what it is? We've got a bit of a delay here. Here's what the thing looks like. I've got it on a monopod, but it's this little teeny battery-powered box. I've got some barn doors on there to focus the light on myself. Yeah, you can see it. There you go. You can kind of see it. There it is. Just a little black box. You can adjust the intensity of the light, not only at the source, but by Bluetooth as well, if you're very fancy. But if you're using your phone for your camera, you probably don't want to do that. Using the phone for the camera seems simple. Oh, let me put this back. Seems simple, kids, but it sort of makes a lot of sense to get my angle back there. Yeah, pretty good. Wipe off the lens. If it's been in your pocket, it's got pocket fuzz on there. If it's been outside, it might have dust on it. You might have smudged it, you know. Dust off your lens. Give it a little wipe with a little lint-free cloth before you fire up your show. At the moment, I decided, because we're doing Facebook Live, and because your computer and your iPad, some of us anyway, prefer the landscape orientation, I decided to make this a landscape shot. Now, I realize you can't do that on Instagram. Instagram vastly prefers a portrait orientation, a vertical orientation. But in this case, I think a sideways shot, just because I wanted to show you all the cool guitars. And when I start playing guitar, I know that when I'm watching a guitar, a singer-songwriter, a person playing a guitar in any fashion, I really like seeing both hands. So the vertical orientation will give you more face and body, but it may cut out one hand or the other, certainly your fingering hand, and perhaps your picking hand as well. People got after Richard Thompson about this on his first webcast from wherever he was in Long Island or something. Maybe he was in England. I get them confused. They're east. They're out east. That's a consideration to make as well. As on Instagram, you probably want a vertical orientation. On other formats, because your computer screen is typically universally wider than it is tall, you probably want to go with a horizontal orientation. Lenses, there's a company called Moment that I want to tout, at least briefly. Moment makes these little lenses that, with a special case that you can buy, and very cool special cases, you can adjust your picture. And some other time, I'll try one of the Moment lenses on here. They have telephoto, wide angle, macro, anamorphic. Can't really use that here because you'd have to de-squeeze it, but that gives you a very cinematic look. Moment, shopmoment.com. Shout out, as the young people say, to moment.com. Shopmoment.com will get you there. Lume Cubes are what I use for the light. Lighting-wise, typically the easiest to look at, and you do want people to watch your webcast, your live stream, and as a man in my 60s, I don't use the term stream lightly. Insert Flomax joke here. You want your live stream to be easy to look at. You want people to stay with you. So if you can kind of anticipate what is desirable, and typically for almost all of us, what's desirable is slightly side and high lighting. Lighting that's fairly high, not just so that it's so high that it puts big shadows underneath your nose and chin and sockets your eyes, but about 45 degrees, maybe a bit more, and off to the side a bit as well, so that you have a warm side to your face and a cool side to your face. The thing I think that really sets off a video, any sort of video, is backlight. This is what you see in rock and roll shows. It's more backlighting to highlight the hair and the shoulders and the arms and whatever else is moving, to set off the foreground from the background. You've got, in any visual thing, there's always the thing you're being asked to look at and the thing that recedes. So if you highlight yourself to distinguish yourself from the background, the Lume Cube I have here is almost directly behind me and very high. It's out of the picture. So that's what's lighting up my head and shoulders. God, look at me gesticulate here. Settle down, Coyle. Jeez. I should look and see if there are any comments or questions. I've been nattering on for so long here. What brand of camera would I recommend? Well, you know, right now I'm using the iPhone 11 Pro. It's just that. I'm using the, what is that? This side of the camera, not the selfie side, although you can use the selfie side. But there's a trick that I will post. If you use the selfie side, especially in landscape, horizontal mode, you will look like a left-handed guitar player unless you punch there's a little option in there, and I've forgotten exactly what it is, but there's a little option on your iPhone, and I'm sorry, Android folks, I don't know what to tell you, but on iPhones, there's a little option you can push there, and I'll post this article in the thread that shows you how to flip that. Not exactly sure why the selfie cam always reverses things for your viewers, but it does. And it's a little odd, especially for those of us that like to see the fingering hand, see what's going on over there. It's a little odd to try and translate from the left hand. Although I do it all the time badly with my Quitters partner, Glenn Houston, who plays not only left-handed, but upside down. And strangely, after all these years of Waybacks and Houston Jones and the Quitters, I'm starting to catch on to what a C chord looks like upside down and backwards. Thank you for the question there. John Green, fabulous photographer. Backlight, huh? Huh, John? Right. It's kind of about backlight for portraits and whatnot. Typically, what I like to do is have the front light coming in from one angle and the backlight coming in at a slightly diametrically opposed angle. So this backlight is slightly off to my right, your left. So it gives a bit of a balance there. Johnston, Ed Holmes, natter, keep on nattering. Thanks, Ed. Thanks. Man, it's what I do. I natter is what I do. The microphones. Let's see, have we talked about cameras and lighting and whatnot? I think so. I think that solves most of the things. The switch, learning to do the left-right flip, the horizontal flip on your iPhone, especially if you're using the selfie cam. Using the selfie cam, especially on the 11 Pro, I know, the selfie cam is 12 megapixels. It's a pretty darn good camera. It's as good as one of the lenses on the backside of your camera. So it's a really good camera on the selfie cam on the newer models of the higher numbered models. I don't think the SE features this, but the 11 Pro and the 11 Pro Max certainly do feature 12 megapixel camera on the selfie side. Excuse me. This is something I've had to get used to drinking water by itself. Not accustomed to that, but it's a good idea. Could use something. Hi, Nod. Hi, Jano. Hi, Larry Pattis, fabulous guitarist. Catherine Kramer says, me too, Mark. I wonder what Mark said. Rhonda's in BC. Good heavens, we're international. We're going international here, folks. So I think that's all the stuff. As far as cameras go, for live broadcasts, you probably want to use your phone or an iPad. You want to have everything set up beforehand so that you're not fumfering with things. Get yourself a straight-on angle, I'd say, instead of an up angle. Very unflattering for all of us. A straight-on angle is better than a severe down angle, which is the convenient thing because you're thinking, I'm going to be shooting from my desk or from my coffee table or something with a really severe up angle. Unless you tend to play down quite a lot, you probably want something that's going to feature your face at a straighter angle than this. Perhaps even just this would be enough, because we all tend to look down a bit when we play. But you don't want that severe up angle that I see so often with backlight in the back that shadows your face. It's a very automatic system on the iPhone, at least. It reads the hot thing on its sensor and adjusts for that. So if your face isn't the hot thing and the background is you got a window behind you or a bright white wall, perhaps not going to make your face look optimal and your guitar and yourself. You sure you're not drinking hand sanitizer? Yes, I am. Yes. Tried that once. Didn't like it. Thought, boy, it kills germs on your hands. I wondered what it'll do for my innards. Can't recommend it. Oh, Kathy Kramer, a fellow waiting for Godot cast member. We're listening to Santa Clara grad Gavin Newsom on NPR. A worthy listen is all I'll say about that. Gavin Newsom, worthy listen. The Cuomo situation in New York, worthy listens. Now let's move on to microphones. The microphone in your camera, what you're listening to now is this microphone right here. You're not listening to the camera. I wanted to put the camera, the phone, particularly far away from myself today, just to show you that even though the camera is pretty far away and you're getting a very wide shot, I still sound pretty close. I can move in on this microphone and I'll sound very, very close. Whereas, if I'm kind of shouting across the room to you, I'm not doing the usual thing I do, playing into a microphone. I'm much more inclined to kind of project, overplay, and perhaps even oversing. So a remote mic is very cool. The one I used for years and years was this. The Blue, the company is called Blue, and this is the Yeti. This is the sort of the standard vlogging and blog. I guess it's just vlogging mic, video logging. Yeah, this is that. It has all kinds of options on it. On the back here, you can have the polar pattern. The pattern it picks up can be either figure 8. It can be cardioid, just like a regular SM58, just like a regular mic that a lot of you are accustomed to singing into, the ice cream mic that has been used for everything for decades, including hammering nails on the stage that have popped up. They're really sturdy and totally standard, have been around for 60 plus years. You can have that cardioid pattern. You can also have, on this particular mic, you can have an in the round pattern. You can have an omnidirectional pattern, kind of cool for band situations. And you can have a straight ahead stereo, left and right. Kind of about a 60-degree stereo. I think it's 60-degree stereo, left-right mix. Very versatile mic, but a big-ass thing. Kind of heavy, comes in the stand. You can pop it out of the stand and pop it onto a mic stand if you like. This is cool, but it requires power. These are powered microphones, so this needs power from somewhere. The way I used to do it was, pardon me, I'd run the cable out of this. Just this USB cable. It's mini on this side and USB on this side, the old A-style USB. Run this into this here dongle, pardon me, ladies. Now this dongle has 2 inputs on it. One is for the USB cable and the other is for power. So just coming right out of the little power jobby that you use to charge your devices, to charge your iPhone, come right out of that into this. You'd have to do that. A little bit complicated. The mic is big and heavy, certainly tough to tote around, whereas this, also made by Blue, the Blue Raspberry. Are you writing this down? The Blue Raspberry also requires power, but it takes power directly from the phone, which is totally hip. Because then you can just sort of set it up, attached to nothing, going Wi-Fi here, and attached to nothing, and get good sound out of this microphone. It has input gain. You can adjust the gain on it to depending on your situation and how you sing and play. It also has, if you want, a headphone out where you can listen. You can monitor yourself and make sure you're not clipping or that you're not too soft or any of that sort of stuff. I think that's what I have to say about that. Preparing your set ahead of time is probably a good idea unless you have a great time fumfering around between songs, which has been my gambit for years and years, just waiting to see what the next song wants to be. But having a rough idea of what you want to play is probably a real good idea. Let me check your comments and questions here. Thank you, Bob Mokel. I hope Al Gibson would be proud of me talking about lighting. He's the guy that got me onto it. I've always loved good lighting. Hi, JD. Hi, Robert Church. Steve Kahn, good heavens. Peter Dave. Russ Paris. Hey there, Russ and Julie. Russ and Julie's House Concerts, the premier house concert series in the country, I think. They were way ahead of the curve 1,000 years ago. Great series down in Southern California. And Glenn Solowitz, John Wittenberg, Michael Propsom. There we go. Great. Golly, I've been blathering a ton. Please do fire in any comments or questions that you have, and I'll see if I can answer them. Like I say, I wish I had Miss Valerie here today to help me out with this, but I'll stumble along best I can. Hey, there's Jim Esposito, another Santa Claran, and a fine, fine musician. Great to see you, Espo. Alrighty. I'm getting a picture that's a little bit blurry today, and I'm not sure why that is. I think perhaps this will, once this posts to the site later on, the visuals will perhaps be a bit better than they're showing up on my little iPad today. I'm using a slightly different Wi-Fi connection than usual as well, so that could be part of the situation right there. Oh, about that, Wi-Fi, that's what I was going to tell you. Wi-Fi, sure, but what you want to do before you fire up your first webcast, before you even know whether or not this is going to work for you, run a site called speedtest.com. make sure that you've got, doggone, I was going to look this up and I forgot for you. But you want to make sure your download number, it'll run a test on your connection all by itself. The download number will always be vastly higher than the upload number. But I've forgotten, perhaps somebody out there knows, and if you do, please type it in. What's the minimum upload speed, megabits per second, that you can have for an online streaming connection like this? I was going to look that up, doggone it, and I forgot. My apologies. But you want to check that. If you can run both Wi-Fi and Ethernet, check the Ethernet connection first. Now, Ethernet typically runs into your computer, but you can run it into your iPhone or iPad as well with a dongle, sorry ladies, like this, where it has both power inputs, lightning inputs, and a regular Ethernet connection as well. And this end goes into your device. So that'll get you Ethernet into your phone or iPad or Surface or tablet, as they say. Questions, comments? I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover on that front. Thank you for the suggestion, Arden. And like I say, your mileage may vary. This is just what I like to do. And the videos come out looking, to my eye, as easy to look at as they get, considering the subject. You know, backlight, angled side light, darker background, lighter foreground, putting yourself in the light so that you're lit up, keeping your angle up fairly high, or even from above. Some folks like an above shot. That's kind of intriguing. Mary Flower, great blues gal up in Portland, the Portland, Oregon area. She does kind of a down angle, and it looks great. And it also, a down angle gives you a bit of an advantage, and you can kind of get more in the picture typically than a straight on shot. So sort of anything but down here, looking up here, is probably going to be your best approach to visuals on your live stream. Good, Jano, thanks. Charlene, hi there. All right. Yes, Zoom calls. You know, I hadn't even heard of Zoom before 3 weeks ago, and now I'm using it all the time. And you know what I'm thinking of doing? I hadn't even thought of this as an application, but some pals of mine did it, and it seems to be pretty cool, is do kind of a little seminar, a little workshop on guitar on Zoom. So stay in touch. I might offer that for a little PayPal or Venmo exchange, and I'll stay in touch on the whole Zoom front. Not entirely great, I don't think, although I haven't used it for shows like this where you can sort of send it out and anybody who happens to be on can catch the stream. Zoom, I'm pretty sure, has to be an invite-only situation, which depending on your crowd, you may want to consider. But for most of us, where you want just to kind of throw it out there and see, run it up the flagpole and see who salutes, as it were, you can do this on Facebook. I haven't done an Instagram, and I understand YouTube does this as well. A broadcast, a webcast, where you're casting to the web, and whoever wants to can jump in. I saw Adam Miller, whoa, scary, great jazz and funky Australian guitarist, really great guitarist. He did an Instagram last night, and it worked really good, you know. But again, vertical orientation. So he had to kind of angle around and keep an eye on his phone to make sure that he was in the picture, because he knew he had a bunch of guitar geeks on there that wanted to see what his left hand, his picking hand, was up to. And for whatever reason on Instagram, his picture was flipped again and he looked like a left-handed guitarist. Maybe some of you more savvy to Instagram can post here. This, I should mention again, if I haven't mentioned yet, this is intended to be a conversation and not a blathering. You know what I mean? Please jump in. If you have suggestions or comments or things that you have found that work well on other platforms, this one is kind of focused on Facebook Live, just because I know it best. That's the reason I'm using this. I also webcast on stageit.com, S-T-A-G-E-I-T, stageit.com. In fact, this being Friday, I've got a show over there tonight on stageit.com. Head on over, commercial break. Head on over, plug in my name in the little search bar. It'll take you to a page where it says, oh, you want to join this show? You got to buy some notes. The mechanism of exchange over there is notes. That's what they call their script. And a note is 10 cents, and this show will cost you 35 notes to get into. Tipping, welcome and appreciated, and probably some good karma that you know you need after being holed up with your relatives for a month now. So maybe a good way to burn off some of that bad karma. How's that for a cheesy pitch? Extra cheese on that pitch, please. All right. Catching up. Robert Joe, great. Svea. Rich LaPena from Florida, great. Doug Rice, fellow Strawberrian, excellent. Zoom is not working well for choral singing groups. No, that's the thing. See, Zoom has a lot of latency, which is that delay that keeps everything from locking up nicely. I was turned on to a thing last night that actually has been around for a while. Haven't used it, can't recommend it, but I can mention it. Sofasession.com. Anybody hip to that? Type in some info if you've got more info on sofasession.com than I do. Apparently, it's a way for bands to rehearse together and people to jam together, and somehow they conquer the latency, probably by delaying the earliest signal back as late as the last signal coming in is. That'd be my guess, is how that's done. Doesn't matter. It's worth a shot. Jamkazam apparently works. Jamkazam.com works, or .net or something. Works pretty well, I guess, for those that aren't afraid to kind of get in there under the hood and mess around. But for us plug-and-play types, perhaps not your bailiwick. Jamkazam is that one. But sofasessionsingular.com. I plugged in sofasessions.com and it took me to one of those. You want to buy this URL? It's yours for the low, low price of $1 zillion. Michael Hall, how are you? Bluegrass, San Francisco, Bay Area Bluegrass, Maven. Mark Bronke, question about Yeti. Can it be powered by laptop USB port? No, that's the thing. The Yeti, this bad boy, you pretty much got to power this from your laptop USB port or laptop USB port. Oh, that was your question. My mistake, Mark. Yes, it can be powered by your laptop USB port, just not by your iPad or phone port. But yes, absolutely, this can be powered by that. If you want to go any distance with it, though, which is what I wanted to do. I had the camera across the room a ways, like this, but I wanted the Yeti here up close to me. So we had to power this separately because we couldn't make that connection work with just the USB port. We needed a separate connection to power the mic. Is that clear as mud? But yes, if you're sitting right next to your computer, if you're close enough to your computer to come straight out and into this with a USB connection, you'll be good. Great mic, too. And not expensive. Neither of these mics was expensive. What deals? The Yeti, I think, golly, I bought it several years ago. I don't remember what I paid for it. $150 maybe? And the Blue, I think I paid even less. I think I paid around $100 for it. Really great. Or the Raspberry. So this is the Yeti. That's the Raspberry. They're both by the company called Blue. And great mics. I recommend them highly. Easy to use. The Raspberry in particular, I think, has got an extra cool factor because it has the opportunity. It's super portable, first of all. I've got it on a mic stand, but it's only this big. You can take it with you, and you can power it off your phone without wall power, without AC. That's totally hip. Another option for cameras, somebody asked, I think Michael Propson asked about cameras. What I use for the Stage It shows. The Stage It show can only happen on a laptop because it requires something that only the laptop provides. I've forgotten what the kind of add-on was. Java, or it wasn't Java. It was something like that. I've forgotten what it was called. At any rate, I have to use the laptop for that. The camera on the laptop is okay, and this one, this old Logitech webcam, is okay as well if I kind of set it and leave it and get the focus and the light correction just right. Something with a nice Zeiss lens can probably beef up the picture that you've got coming off of your laptop and dust that thing off as well. Who of us thinks to dust off or wipe down that little teeny lens on your laptop? But it really, really boosts things up if you don't have smudges on there and dust and whatnot. God forbid the whatnot. Questions, comments? Blue Raspberry seems to be out of production, not available. What? Really? Well, that's a shame. Hi, brother. There's my brother, James Coyle. Howdy. Ron Collega's on. Marty Higgins. Been watching a bunch of online sessions and participating in so many meetings. I highly recommend overhead lighting and extra front light from about 10 feet away. Yeah. Overhead kind of gives you a little glow on your head and shoulders, and front lighting from out there particularly if you can make it at a bit of an angle. Remember this, Jamie, my brother, from Al Gibson's class? Bob Mokel is on here, and he just said, hey, remember, Al Gibson would be proud of you, which was tremendous to hear. Front light, if you can get it from a slight angle, makes a pretty picture. The cool thing about these Lume Cubes, too, is you can control them with Bluetooth. I haven't set them up yet. I need to set them up on the iPad so that I can control them from here, but totally cool. Dick Sandvik is watching. Bill Quinlan. BQ, excellent. Hi there, Arden. Arden, would you mind typing in the URL of your particular, or the name of your particular group on Facebook that is so cool? It's kind of a clearinghouse, folks, of cool places to stop in where people are doing acoustic music live, presumably from their homes or their shops or someplace not in a venue. But Arden is keeping us all hip to everything that's going on. Lots and lots of stuff that's going on the acoustic front for all you Americana and folky types like me. Ken Louie from Salinas High. Go Cowboys. Excellent. Ron Mason, my old boss at Marine World. I feel like Miss Nancy, and I see so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so, and this person from grammar school, and that person was my boss at Marine World, and there's my brother, and this is. I'm just going to sit here and wait for more people to pop on that I know. No, I'm not. I'm going to press on. I think that's pretty much what I wanted to tell you. And if I think of other things, I will add them in the thread below. I wanted to feature a couple of guitars today. I am selling guitars. It's a little clumsy, it's a little extra care, but it works okay. I'm not having people come into the shop, but if people want to buy guitars online with, 48-hour, 72-hour turnaround period, in fact, actually longer, because what I'm doing, when I send a guitar out, I take it down, I stick it in a case, I wait 3 days. Then I send it out after having alcoholed off the outside of the box. I recommend that the person on the other end wait 3 days. Alcohol off the outside of the box and let it sit in the garage for 3 days. Just to let those little buggies die, if there are any, God forbid. Then, at that point, the timer starts and they get 48 or 72 hours to decide whether or not it's true love. If it is, they keep the guitar and I keep the check or the credit card, the money that's been exchanged. Or, if it's not, they ship the guitar back, I pick it up, bring it into the shop, after alcoholing it off, let it sit by itself in the box for 3 days, and everybody's safe and sane that way. So yes, guitars are still getting sold out of the shop, I'm pleased to say. And I'm glad to do that. Let me know if there's something that you perhaps have already played or have always wanted to give a try. For the cost of shipping both ways and a little bit of grief with a bottle of alcohol and some paper towel, it's not a bad way to go. And it's worked really well so far. But these two are a couple that came in late before the great sequestration began, before World War C, as Jorma Kaukonen calls it, started. One is a Laurent Brondel, kind of an OM-ish thing. Check it out. Beautiful. Let me get my specs on. This has been so long since I've been in the shop. I've kind of forgotten what's what here. The Laurent Brondel, Carpathian spruce top. That's Transylvania, Transylvanian. It's vampire wood on the top. Wengi, back and sides. Wengi is a very dark, heavy wood, and among names for woods, it's about the most fun to say. Wengi. Try it. See? Made you smile. Neater, neater. It's really dark. It's really rich. It's a heavy, dense, oily wood, and it's got a sound akin to Brazilian rosewood. Laurent Brondel is a French-Canadian guy building up in New England, I believe. Larry, help me out here. Larry Pattis would know about all of this. Tell me about Laurent Brondel. This has got ebony fretboard, Gabon ebony fretboard bridge pins and bridge, African mahogany neck. The Wengi is not only the back and sides, it's the head plates, the end wedge, and the heel cap. It's also loaded up with a K&K Pure Mini pickup, which is one of my favorites. A nice, a wonderful, and inexpensive, neutral-sounding pickup that really is great. I'm of the school that it's my belief that all of your processing can be better done outside of the guitar. So I don't like having big preamps and things in the guitar. Some folks really dig that. Some folks eat Brussels sprouts. Not me. I like having the opportunity to do all of that outboard because that gear gets upgraded every few years. And I'd rather not have kind of a less than optimal box in my guitar that has all kinds of controls on it when I could be doing that stuff outboard anyway. So this is my favorite pickup at the moment, is the K&K Western Pure Mini. Three little elements that glue to the bridge plate inside there and run out to a wire. There's no battery in there, there's no preamp, there's no nothing. You do all of that outboard. So my vibe, your mileage may vary. And this is, the Brondel is, let me play this thing for you. It's got this big kind of chocolatey sound. I know it's ridiculous to talk about sound in terms of food, but it happened in the shop here once. In fact, a fellow right down the street here, wonderful guitarist and teacher himself, had us over for dinner one night when we first moved to town. And we found out he and his wife are real foodies. They know their stuff, and they fed us up, and we had a spectacular time. He had been looking at a couple of guitars in here, and every time he played one in particular, I'd kind of look up and think, that's the one you want. I hope you get that one. Well, they came in close to closing one night, and I could tell it was, they both came in, so I could tell it was down to the wire. It was that guitar and another guitar. And I thought, well, I'll go do something in the back room and leave them alone for a while. They can talk about it. So when I came back in a few minutes later, she was saying, no, not that one. That one's too lemony. I like the chocolate one. They knew what they were talking about, and I kind of did too. Lemony meaning too bright, too something. The chocolatey one had rich, mid-range. I don't know. It's the toughest thing in the world. The second toughest thing in the world to talk about is what guitar sounds like. What sounds like. Everything is analogy, simile, metaphor. It's really tough to talk about sound. I've been told, and I think it's right, I've not thought of anything else, there's only two words that are native to sound, and that's louder and softer. I think that's probably right. Everything else is analogy, simile, metaphor, some kind of comparisons, like wine. Wine tastes like wine, but we use buttery and oaky and notes of cinnamon and Isles of Langerhans and all of those descriptions to try and approximate, to try and convey a vibe that's less workable in standard English. I thought I was going to say something just then. I guess I wasn't. Well, no surprise. Everything in the shop has sharpened up quite a lot. But even just tuning this thing up, I can feel the chocolate. Again, this is a Laurent Brondel, OM-ish sort of thing. It's got, the low end is kind of rumbly. I can feel it kind of rumbling my lungs in my chest here. Yeah, the lungs in my chest as opposed to any other lungs I might have lying around. It's a good picker, it's a good strummer. Boy, it does kind of everything really well. your signal winked out? I got a little error loading comment here. If you're still getting a picture, can you type in that you're still getting a picture? I've got a status notice here. I've got a black screen and something that says error loading. Don't know what that means. Somebody popped up a thumbs up. Can anybody type in a message at the moment? Bob Steiner's watching. Hi, Bob Steiner. Aileron. Fabulous version of Ain't Misbehavin'. Oh, okay. Golly. Okay, you can see. For whatever reason, I got no picture. I don't need a picture. I've seen this show. So yes, I'm not sure what aileron meant. Aileron behavin'? Stay out late, don't care to go. I'm home about 8, just me and my radio. Ain't misbehaving, saving my love for you. I don't even go out, so of course I'm home 8. Lovely guitar, Tippin and Brondel. 5,500 is the asking on this. I must be crazy. 5,500 for a guitar like this? It's Crazy Stevie's Guitar Emporium. That's the Brondel I wanted to show you. Whew, Lordy, lovely thing. I might stick around after the show and play that for a little bit myself. Here's a Bill Tippin. This is a gorgeous thing. Look at this. Slope shoulder dreadnought. I hope this is in the picture. I can't see, but I assume we've got a picture going here. Let's see if this one is remotely in tune as well. Clear as a bell. Very good. Thank you, McKnight Guitars. Great. Hi, Mel. Okay, good, good. A beautiful picture, and I sound great. Thank you. Can I get that in writing, McKnight? Very good. While I'm tuning up here, let me magnify the unpleasantness by reminding you that I'm doing a show tonight on StageIt.com. StageIt.com, it's a really kind of a premier site. I did a bunch of StageIt shows when I first departed from Menudo all those years ago, and then after I stopped touring so much, just to kind of keep in touch primarily with friends and fans from back east after my solo stint. And did a bunch of shows back then. I had kind of forgotten about it until this whole thing came around. And actually I did some shows early on here when I was doing shows in the back, hosting shows in the back room here, in the big room, as we jokingly call it, at La Marinda Music. I was severely sharped up. This is a big guitar, boy oh boy. For some folks, if it ain't a dreadnought, it ain't a guitar. And this is a dready dread, really wide across the bout here, across the waist rather, as well as the bout. So it sits up nice and high. If you like feeling that thing really just hooking your arm around it and tugging it right into you, this has got that kind of vibe to it. Slot head dreadnought, kind of unusual. Big body, slot head 12 fret dreadnought, super unusual in certain respects. Dreadnought is usually 14 frets, and the body comes in right there. This is a 12 fret, which pushes the bridge farther down into the middle of the lower bout here, which gives you a whole different kind of sound. Arguably better for finger pickers that want to play a big bodied guitar and still get tons of bass and whatnot. The slotted headstock too kind of gives you a louder guitar because you've increased the break angle of the strings across the nut here, going down into the headstock instead of them kind of extending out fairly flat this way. They really dive down into those slots in the headstock. And that gives more down pressure, which activates the top more, which gives you a louder guitar. But anyway, Stage It. Tonight at 6 o'clock Pacific time, 9 o'clock Eastern time, to accommodate those folks of a certain age back east who go to bed at grandfather o'clock. This is kind of for that. And it's a really fun sort of situation. Same kind of deal here where people can chat back and forth and request stuff and whatnot. That'll be at 6 o'clock, 6:05. I think I made the show 6:05. Just to distinguish it from other shows that are starting precisely at 6 o'clock. And those are just half-hour shows, little quick half-hour shows with a whole lot more notes and a whole lot less jabber. Wow, big, big, big. Overdriving the mic? Sorry if I'm overdriving the mic. Hey Colin, how are you? Yes, slope shoulder guitar and a wider fingerboard. Exactly right, Steve Kahn. Precisely. As you all know. 1 3/4 across the fingerboard instead of 1 11/16. So a little extra real estate over here for fingerstylers. Again, the bridge, because of the 12-fret join of the neck to the body, the bridge gets pushed down into the middle of the lower bout, gives you more articulation, a whole different kind of more clarity to it. Each note is arguably better articulated, whereas on a 14-fret dreadnought, where the body is joining here, the bridge moves up closer to the sound hole, and that's kind of maximized for saturation of the notes, really good for strumming and single note work, you know. But for fingerstylers, they want every note to stand out. This is kind of a cool way to go, and it's beautiful. Let me tell you about the woods. And like I said, I haven't been in the shop forever. And oh my, that's right. I almost forgot to tell you. I did forget to tell you. This one was actually built for Martin Simpson. You know Martin Simpson? Fabulous, fabulous English guitarist. Used to live out here in Santa Cruz. Wonderful guitarist. This guitar was built for him. And this one comes with a custom Colton case with his name on it. Still branded right on there on the case. A little metal plate. It's engraved right on there. Built for Martin Simpson, who's a famous folk artist from the UK. Built in 2002. Crazy showpiece of guitar in every sense. Abalone pearl Art Deco fretboard and headstock inlays. Oh, I should get this thing off of here just so you can see the headstock. Look at that. Phew. Man, oh man. Madagascar rosewood for the back and sides. I hope I'm getting a good angle here. And like I say, I don't have a picture I can look at anymore. I don't know what happened. But I always like to point out that some guitars have something cool right here, which is kind of important for the player, because that's what you're going to be looking at when you're playing the guitar. This has got some cool figure in the Madagascar rosewood right there. Very hip. Deluxe Colton hardshell case with light gray exterior and burgundy interior. My gosh, you want to move in. Fabulous thing. Ordered new, this one would be about $15,000 with the case and all of these appointments in this particular type of wood and whatnot. This one is going for $8,800. Wow. Low mileage, 2002, yes, but as they say, low mileage on this one. Frets are still in great shape. There might be a ding or two somewhere, but there's nothing drastic. There's nothing egregious. surprising. Whenever I hold a guitar this big, I think I should probably be strumming this thing, just to maximize its sound. Tons of power, tons of punch, and a really Brazilian rosewood sound. Sorry, kids, but Brazilian rosewood often does have a real sound to it. This sounds very Brazilian, but it's not. It's Madagascar rosewood. Wowee. How about that? Oh. I've neglected your questions and comments. Sorry about that, folks. I should probably button up because I'm hogging the airwaves here for hours at a time. 2 guitars, the Brondel, $5,500. The Bill Tippin from 2002, made for Martin Simpson with his name on the Calton case, $8,800. 2 guitars featured. Take a look at the website. I'm updating the website all the time. Guitars are coming in and going out. Things are happening. So let me know if I can ship you something on a 48-hour, 72-hour turnaround, once the germs have settled down. So we can make it work. It can happen. Nice tone, yes. Hi, Darby Sue. There you go. Hi, Ducky. Valerie May is watching. Hello, dear. I hope the kitty's feeling better. She's taking good care. Audio video is great. The 12-fret axe. Oh, very good, Bob McKinney. 12-fret Barbarossa Parlor. Totally hip. 12-fret guitars. For finger stylers, again, in particular, because the articulation tends to be more intense, a little less of the washiness. Pejorative term, but I hope you know what I mean. That kind of suffusion of sound, a blending of tones. With 12-fret guitars, they tend to be more note, 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 all by themselves, more pianistic in that respect. And I think I'm going to button things up. Man, I'm exhausted. I've exhausted myself just from blathering for so long. I think I'll head on home and get myself something fabulous to eat and drink. Maybe a little. I'm eating a lot of peanut butter, which nothing has changed because I've been eating a lot of peanut butter my whole life. No sound or movement. Uh-oh. Probably a freeze up at least. Well, that's my cue, kids. See you down the road. If you can stop in on the Stage It show tonight, please do. If you've got any questions or comments or observations that you want to make for anybody that's been on here, please type them in because this persists. It's so wild. We do these long videos and they stay up on the site. So please feel free to add comments, suggestions, observations, even after the thing has closed down. And feel free to share with your friends. I'll be on Stage It tonight. I do a regular Monday night Facebook thing at 7:30 Pacific time for about a half an hour. And I'm giving lessons online like crazy. Hit me up for lessons. Even beginners, people say, oh, you don't take beginners. Hell yes, I take beginners. I love working with beginners because beginners make bigger jumps typically than more advanced players, bigger jumps all at once. And I love being around for those. I take enormous vicarious pleasure in being there when that happens, when you suddenly become a better guitarist. That's hip. Zoom is working great for this stuff. I've got a little system that I use online to simplify finger positions, so we're not spending a lot of time talking about the 5th string at the 3rd fret. That's a 53. 5th string, 3rd fret, that's a 5-3. So I've got a quick and dirty little system that's easily learned, that maximizes. I can do little videos for you at the end of the lesson that kind of goes over all the stuff we did inside the lesson. You can keep that forever. This online thing, it's not optimal, and I miss you all tremendously, but it's not half bad either. It can be made to work, and we can all stay in touch with it. And stay safe. First thing is stay safe. I'm going to pop on my mask, load up the car, alcohol everything off, take it out, and zip on home and be with Miss Valerie. And I hope you all hug your loved ones and tell them you love them. And down the road, everybody, Stevie Coyle here, signing off from Mighty Fine Guitars in bucolic Lafayette, California. This is the part that if you're working by yourself at a distance from your camera, no way around this clumsy part, where I walk up to the camera and hit a little button. Bye-bye, everybody.